Looks like my microphone is on now. Hey everybody, thanks for joining in for another game dev stream on this glorious Wednesday, or this is Thursday now. Um, Anyhow, I'm just going to set up the restream and watch me work and potentially queue up some music. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so you guys should have some background music now. And I'll just get the restream going on Watch Me Work. Well, yesterday that wasn't able to connect. It was strange. Hopefully we have better luck today. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. It's almost Friday, which is definitely noteworthy. Oh, hey Thomas, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Just seeing the comments feed now. I pop out my chat. Yeah, you know what? I won't lie to you guys. I'm a little bit of a noob when it comes to live streaming. I don't really know how the best way to contact you. Okay, perfect. I will copy and paste your address here, and then I'll actually remove that comment so other people can't. It won't be publicly available. Cool. I'm going to remove that. Cool. I got your address, don't worry. I'll connect with you after the stream. And I appreciate you following up. Okay, so today we're gonna continue our item stash. I get into a bit more advanced topics such as limitations for the transfer, adding in categories, and ensuring that the item stash is always sorted. Hopefully we can switch up onto, let's see, I hope the wardrobe actor after this. And I believe with all of that, our widgets are almost fully functional in terms of its compatibility to our gamepad, which I gotta say, pretty cool landmark for us. Essentially a full gamepad integration. You know what, actually there might be one outlying widget, probably the conversational tree that determines, if you're talking with an NPC, you can reply with certain responses. I believe that is still only set up for mouse and keyboard. But beyond that, we're pretty much there, which is cool. Still cool. Okay, so what do I have open here? We're in our development room inside of Unreal Engine 4. We have two blueprints open. One is the item stash actor. If we take a look at it, this is the actor that is in the world we'll be interacting with. And we have our the widget, which is the menu that comes up for our item, for managing our items from our character to our inventory, or our item stash rather. Okay, so the first thing I want to add in is, well, I guess I'll show you guys where we're at. So we'll pick Vance, pick up these items. These are our custom items for the game that are built using our desired inventory structures. So we can get into the menu, we can select a stash we can select basically where do you want to transfer from. Can't go here, there's nothing in there, right? So we can select all the items from our character's inventory. It's all laid out here. We can also sort as well. The sorting function, similar to our item menu, is available here. And basically, if we click on these item slots, they transfer over, and everything updates accordingly. If we want to rearrange, we can hit sort, and it gets rearranged. And we can switch focus to the stash now that it has items, and we can transfer at the desired quantity we want. Nothing too fancy here that's happening. We've made use of I basically copied and pasted in some of the code from the shopping, excuse me, some of the shop menus, where we have the same kind of interaction happening. Yeah, and if we exit, we're out. One thing I do want to add also, I'll make a note right now, is that when our stash is... Actually, you know what? I'm overthinking it. That's actually fine as is, the way it's functioning. Okay, so let's hit escape and get to our item stash. So in our item stash widget blueprint, we have on construct, we set up the pack and stash setup, which is basically displaying our items in our character's inventory and displaying the items in our player's item stash. What I want to do, I made a note right here. Oh, excuse me. We always want to sort, or always have the item stash sorted. Seems kind of logical. So what we have here is a function we already have existing for our item sorting. Let's just drag that out, and that's probably a good starting point. However, if we hop in here, we can see what we're sorting is always the character's inventory, which is not ideal. What I would like to do is create a new input, and let's make that of the S item data type, and it'll be an array. So we can select the desired array we want to sort. And honestly, that should pretty much complete that. One area of note is at the end here, we refresh our inventory. So we might have to have a branch determining where this is called. Because we want to reset the focus position. Oh, hey Julio, how's it going? What's happening? Well, let's see here. Oh, I got some social media sharing. I'll try to retweet this real quick, guys, if you don't mind. Okay, so from this point, refresh inventory upon complete. We don't want to refresh the inventory, we want to refresh the item stash. Refresh stash, and I guess this could be driven on a branch. Based on whatever we're sorting. I wonder if there is a dynamic sort of check we could pull from. Can you check if array is equal to? No. Didn't think so. I guess the easiest thing to would. There we go. I just connect it to a Boolean and just label this as sorting in question mark. Oh, yeah, that's what happens when you can't type. All right, sorting inventory. If that's true, we refresh the inventory. If it's not, we refresh the stash. And we can also reset focus position. That's fine. Let's test this out. I'm quite curious to see how this will affect our functionality. We do have to make those inputs. That's a little weird. Why does that look like this? Let's get a new reference to that. Item stacking game mode, and instead of splitting it, because that looks so weird, let's just break it and replace those as appropriately. Just thinking about this, because we call a refresh stash, we probably should place it not at the end of our function here, but most likely earlier in this chain. That way, as soon as before we construct our item list, we are sorting it. Let's see here. Let's get rid of this, and let's actually get our get item stash. Plug that in here. Now, is sorting, that can remain as false. Let's compile this and hook that in through here. And where else is sort being applied? I believe it's inside of our, that's the one we're looking at now. Oh no, it's not, excuse me. Sort items. This would basically be the one, this was the initial execution of that skill. We want to, do we have a reference to our active character anywhere nearby? Working from home, nice. Feels good, feels good. Okay, so let's get our active character reference, pull that out here, and we'll get our inventory. And then hook that in. Is sorting in, we'll put that as true. In value sort begins. Let's compile this first. This only calls on phase 0, or sorry, phase 1, which is fine because we only want to be sorting the only sort we want on command is sorting of the character's inventory. The alternative is up over here for the stash is what the one we want to be calling always. Whenever we update the stash, we want to sort it first. And because we've moved in the hierarchy, we can hook that in like so. That should be fine. Okay, items. And let's see here. Let's move a few over. Okay, let's hop over here. Whoa, what's going on? So, if we insert a canteen, it should go to the top, right? Okay, and this should go in below the canteen. Okay, so it looks like everything's getting sorted where it should. However, if we move this over, let's take one canteen. Okay, that was weird. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Working as desired. I just want to make a quick note. When there is only one item in the stack, I don't want to select a quantity. I just want to shove that item over. So let's make a quick note of all the things I want to update. I'm gonna check off here that always sort is done. So let's see here. Just stash xfer to be one click if quantity equals 1. And in terms of one area I also want to adjust is right. I mean, I'm pointing, but you guys can't see. The data for the selected item that shows up in the bottom middle window. That is fine when we're looking in the stash. It's counting correctly. But on our pack, if we're scrolling through here, these are fine now, 0 of 0, it's empty, whatever. But as soon as we get rid of an item and we have the empty slot, it's still sort of, it should be 0, 0. You follow? So let's make a note on my post-it here. Adjust focused item data for items removed from pack should display void quantity. And I guess in brackets I'll just write 0 bracket 0 bracket. Cool. Oh, whoops. Meant to hit escape, not the options button. Okay. So, what happened to my music? What's going on? What's the deal with this? Okay, that's better. So, the next step we want to do here is done sorting. I guess we can close our sort since that's working. Let's adjust the stash to transfer all items. Oh, these are two functions that we're going to get to shortly. Basically, our checks to see if our character can take those items. If not, they shouldn't be able to be transferred. Hey, Christian, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by, joining in on this game dev stream. How's everything going with you, Christian? Let's see, adjust stash. Okay. we have our event graph here. Basically, on transfer from stash, which is here, move desired quantity from items to item stash to pack of items from item stash to pack. Yeah, okay. This is where we want to be working. Before we execute, I'll clean this up and add some comments and explain what's happening down there. Basically, we want to do a check and see if the item number for that button is equal to 1. Oh. This is the wrong place to do that check. My mistake. Let's cut and paste that code up over to up here. This is where we want to do our check. And we're going to need to create a bit more room in between our phases. Let's just shove this down here. Yeah, make this twice as big. That's cool. If true, proceed to phase 2. And, well, we have a check here as well. But this check, I want to say I created that branch. I mean, it's always true right now. But that's going to be for our can we transfer at all? Which is valid. It's a valid question. It's important to find out. Let's just make more space. Oh my gosh! Butterfingers or sticky fingers, whatever. Assuming we can transfer the item, what we want to check for is the focused item number quantity equal to 1. And if that's true, we essentially want to execute this entire chain. So let's reorganize this a little bit and explain what's going on. We have our function that transfers the items from our stash to our character's pack. We play a confirm sound effect. We reset the widget's phase to 1, meaning we're back to selecting items, not dealing with quantity or anything like all those confirm boxes in phase 2 that we deal with. We're not dealing with that anymore. We're back up to phase 1. We're just selecting the item button in the inventory. After that, we check to see if the item quantity was equal to the item count of the item. Basically, we're checking if we're transferring the whole stack. If we are transferring the whole stack, so if true, we reduce our inventory button position and reset focus. And then we change the cycle to hovered because it was on focused previously, and we hide the quantity box. Just looking through this entire bit of logic here, it should be totally fine for us to just execute right into from our check up top we just made. Make this a little neater if possible. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I guess this will have to do. So from here, if it's just one stack, let's just move all those items over. I'm fine, and you? Sorry, Christian, just noticed your comments. Interesting question. Let's see. I also like to pose this question to the chat. Get some community involvement if possible. If anyone else knows the answer to Christian's problem, feel free to chime in. Basically, he is launching his game in Unreal Engine 4 and trying to open a map with a button that fires a command to open it, and it freezes and doesn't do anything. I would have to take a look at your blueprint to see what's going on. There could be several why that's happening, and the only real way to know is to take a look at the blueprint and what actually the instructions are. There's probably a conflict somewhere, but it works in Unreal Engine 4 in the editor, but not in the game. That is interesting, Christian. I haven't had that issue myself. I would post that question to the Unreal Engine Answer Hub, and that would be my advice. Make a post on the Answer Hub forums, and I think you'll actually be surprised with how helpful they are. It's actually quite awesome. Oh, why did my controller disconnect? That was weird. Okay, anyways. Actually, hold on, guys. Let me turn my controller back on here. No controllers. I'm using an old DualShock 4, and I hope it's not dying on me. Okay, no, looks like it's good. So, pick up some items, and yeah, let's this. And let's test it out. Like a goof. We're gonna need more than we're checking against to see if we can stack per quantity. So what that means is we need more than just stacks of one, which is why I had to go back and pick up more. So if we transfer just one, it should transfer instantly. But if there's a quantity, it should give us the readout, which is perfect. Working like a dream. Awesome. That's a little weird. Why can't we edit that? And why do we have duplicates? Whoa. Something's not right. Wow. So exactly what we don't want. We don't want people to be able to dupe. Duping is bad. So how did that happen? Let's try and replicate it. Very bizarre. So what happens if I discard this? Very interesting. I want to replicate that problem and see why that happened. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna check this back in here. Check this out again. I want to replicate that bug. I want to open up an FBX model from Maya, but at 75% it freezes. Will the answer fast or in hours? Christian, okay, so the answer hub, it's a hit or miss. Like on if I had an issue in the past and I posted on a Friday, it usually got answered like the Monday. But if it's within normal working hours, you can usually get a pretty quick response. It's also not just Epic; it's also the developer community too. So it's surprisingly quick in my experience. If I ever had a serious issue, it almost always got answered on the same day, which was like a huge, I don't know, it was a huge help for me. Oh, whoops. And okay, Jotex GFX says I want to open an FBX model from Maya, but 75% it freezes. It may be your export settings. There's actually on the Epic site the pipeline, the process pipeline on how to export and make your settings correct for importing into Unreal Engine 4. I hope if that's your issue, let me know. I hope that answers your question. Okay. 2 items in our pack. In our stash, what do we have here? Okay, so that was weird. Oh no, hold on. If we transfer 1, it's fine. So if we select 1, sorry guys, I shouldn't, like, when I'm building out the blueprints, I'm trying my best not to make it so that we can duplicate items as we move them around. So it's a little, I'm being a little bit of a stick in the mud here with this. It's working as it should. That was weird. Okay, you guys saw that, right? It's not just me. I'm going to take a look at the battlesuit actor here. Perhaps something will be revealed. Class. Oh, the class is correct. Clothing. Excuse me. Very bizarre. I also believe that canteens are duplicating as well. Alloys, not sure. And it's duplicating when we transfer from the stash. That was a little weird. Okay. In any case, super weird. So both canteens are over. definitely duplicated contains. Something is amiss. Let's take a look. Right off the bat, I was noticing that our sort function. Where are we? Here. If we are basically sorting from. Are we sorting in inventory? So if that's true, we actually don't want to be resetting our focus position at all. But that shouldn't really be what's causing the issue. Because this action here is basically just highlighting and adjusting what we're focusing on. Where'd my music go? Oh, it's one of those songs I just have a whole bunch of silence at the end. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, so like I was saying, the issue was, well, in sort, we clear out our temporary arrays. No, it's not happening in there. Transfer from stash to pack. So what's going on here? Basically, we set up our temporary array information, our temporary quantity and item type. We call the remove from stash in our game mode. Guess I could take a look at that real quick. Loops item removal as desired. So I notice it removes the items just fine. Just adding it back to our stash is what's weird. And it's intermittent. Down here we add it back to our character's stash. Let's test this out. Whatever, let's pick up everything. Our item quantity is at, let's sort this. 4 alloys, 3 canteens. 1 of everything else. So with all our canteens, and I guess we can sort this list now. And if we come back here, if we transfer 1, okay, that's working as desired. Transfer this, that's also good. Transfer 2 of these. Move our alloys back. Okay. Something is wrong with that. That actor. Why is it duplicating? So I just saw your comment. I'll look at it in a second. Okay, so I'm noticing that when we're adding items to capacity, 3 and 4, very bizarre. Oh yes, Julio, thank you for addressing that question, Julio. Awesome. He is absolutely correct. That's what the source control up here is for, managing the source files. I would say it's easy. If Julio's on your team, it is easy. I don't know. I actually, like, all kidding aside, I don't know how that stuff is set up. That is a question for Julio. Okay, item stash. We spawn actor how many times? Once and once, right? I mean, if this is 0, because this is coming in at 1. Correct. Transfer stash to pack. Let's take a look at that in our event graph. Transfer from stash to pack. Quantity to transfer. I mean, the quantity to transfer is capped at the maximum. It's not like that integer is going above what it's supposed to. And even if it was, it would read out on screen. Christian, you're killing me. That's hilarious. Oh, jeez. What makes me even more curious is that it's only the back that's having this issue. If we transfer it around, curiously it doesn't duplicate if it's the only item being transferred. I think that's been established by us now. But if there are other items, I know what's happening. So I believe If we transfer this over, guess I was wrong. I want to be hopeful and believe that the problem's fixed, it's gone. But I believe like a virus, it's just sitting there. Just sitting there and waiting to mess up my inventory stash. Well, I mean, only 3 item canteens exist, and there are still 4 alloys. You know what? We will move on. We will move on from here. I am going to look at my notes here, my little post-it notes. So we've adjusted the stash to be to automatically transfer all items if the quantity is equal to 1. The next thing I want to fix here is adjust the focus data, which is, if we go to our widget, go to the designer, this data here, we want this to be displaying specific information if if we're hovering on like a void slot, basically is what I'm calling it. These slots of data that are essentially empty. So we have a few times this gets called. One is as we scroll, set to empty, set as target. Okay, so real quick, to simplify this, it's pretty easy actually. All we would have to do is, even if we're not setting it to empty, we check one more time with the branch and just basically see. We just want to see, has this slot been flagged for as a void slot? Get is void, perfect. And if we grab this, connect the pins, and if that's true, it should route up there again. For items to and from the pack, they should always read out accurately. So, pick up some items and cool, right? Now as we transfer items, we are not getting that count as we toggle onto the voided slots. But because that function hasn't been refreshed, we are, it's still currently displaying as it is. So this is a very simple solution. We just need to call this function on our, like a function within a function. Basically, when we transfer from pack to stash, here we have focused inventory button. We basically want to get focused data. Oh, excuse me. Right click, get focused item data. and call this through. And now I don't think we need to test it, but for peace of mind, I guess I will. So, beautiful, look at that. Transfer items, we lose their focus. Excuse me, let me check these comments. An English test tomorrow? Oh man. Yeah, I am all right with my language and communication abilities. I'm not an expert. I'm almost positive that Julio had better English than I did when I first met him. He was only in Canada for like a few months. Transfer, let's transfer 2. Whoa, okay. So, we've just duplicated some items. Whoa, I think we've solved it. I think we have solved it. If it's the last item, it duplicates it. Maybe not. Wait, maybe if it's the last item that is at a stack of 1, it duplicates it. I think so. Okay, so one last test. I'm going to transfer just 1. And when we transfer this 1, we should get 3. Okay. But I still think it's safe to say. Oh, I thought I had fully identified this issue. Oh man, you Titan. Thanks, man. Made my day. That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate that. Right now we're working on some more technical, less creative stuff. Unfortunately, I know that like modeling and making skills and abilities is a lot cooler, but to me, the item stash is a super cool feature, and I want to make it. I want to make it good. Let's see here. Oh man, Christian's the MVP right now. So what do we want to do here? I think I want to say that this duplication is happening because of this automatic sort I've integrated. And I believe without that, everything was perfect. We don't need this. Okay, just get rid of that print string. Find references. Good lord. This sort feature is backfiring on me right now. All the macros are showing up too. Kind of useless. New parameter is sorting inventory. Let's turn this off. So in the event graph, we are calling this function 3 times. Down here when we're sorting inventory, over here at the bottom, if false, remove entire slot and place it into item stash. This is our inventory button selected, is stash focused. This is one we didn't need actually, because we were going to implement sorting down here, but then we moved it up into the top function. So those are all the places our sort function is being called. Well, that's awesome. You Titan. Happy to hear and meet up with fellow developers. That's so cool. Sorry, Christian. I'm a little confused. Are you asking me all these questions, or is this just chat kind of? Which I'm fully supporting the chatting with itself. That's so cool. But I also don't want to leave you hanging. You're asking me. Let's see here. Max limitations. Okay, I'm gonna jump back into the item sorting and take a look at it. I ask all. Cool. So I guess my favorite musician. You know what? Honestly, I listen to a lot of game OSTs lately. Final Fantasy, like, and I guess it's stereotypical, but I really like Nobuo Uematsu's work. It's just phenomenal. And where we're located? Yeah, we're all in Canada. Or Julio and I are in Canada. I can't speak for everyone in chat. So if we shove these over. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that sort is definitely what's doing this in. That automated sort. Whoa, I guess not. I am at a loss. Huh. There has to be an incorrect input somewhere. Doesn't make for a very fun stream though. I want to say I'll debug this later. Let's see here. The next interesting thing I wanted to do was to we did this. what we needed to do earlier on was to basically, when we're in our item selection phase and you're scrolling through the item list, regardless if you're looking at your, well, actually, only if you're looking at your stash, we need to check if the item we're looking at can be transferred. Right? And then if so, if that's true, which I'm forcing it true right now, can item be transferred? And this should be done with a function. Can item be transferred? And this function might as well just have it output a Boolean output, and not an array, just a single true or false. And it would hook up like this. This is a similar setup to what we have on our shopping menu, so that we can identify, can the item we're looking at be transferred in any capacity, whether it's one or if it's more than one. So let's go to our shop inventory button and grab that logic. As a base, it should allow us to point in the right direction. So here I have the setup I'm talking about. It's called can purchase, and we set it to be true or false, based on things like, do we have enough money to buy it? Is it out of stock, right? And is our stash at capacity? This is sort of more in terms of what we're looking at here. I'm going to copy all of this and paste it inside of our item stash can item transfer function. And we could have a function here called item to check. And probably, oh no, we don't, for the target reference, we don't need to input the reference. It's always going to be checking this with our active character. Let's hook this up here. And our item to check, let's break that data. And we basically just want to make sure that it is an item type that can or cannot be limited to one stack. When did I make this inventory functionality? I made it a while ago, to be honest, based off of a different YouTube tutorial that had different qualifications, and then I sort of adapted it, and then I adapted it very recently. The most recent stream was probably the most recent, excuse me, the most recent streams that I've about the inventory system and those changes are what I'm referencing right now. So it's a little familiar, but there are some things that are I had to adapt, and I just, because the game that I believe the inventory system for the tutorial I was following, it was the kind of game where I don't want to say it was like Minecraft, but it was kind of like you pick up items and you either use and then they are consumed, or you drop them. But there was nothing like a item stash or like stores, so I had to sort of adapt it from his initial tutorial. Okay, so here we do our check. We check character's inventory, check if the pack is at capacity. Or actually, first, we'll say this. Can transfer. If we can transfer, we're basically checking based on if the item is of the single stack variety. If it is true, we just make sure the stack is less than, let's see how that was set up. Is less than the, oh man, that was weird. Is less than the max stacks. That's logical. And if it's not, all we need to do is this function will take care of our booleans. Okay. So from here, let's head back to our event graph. And what I want to do now is print string off of both of these. Yeah, pickup and discard is kind of like you are correct, Christian. The item transfer is what's a little bit more fancy. Basically, on our characters inventory, I'll hop over there and show you. If we head over to character and grab our parent class, we have our add to item inventory and remove item from inventory. And in both cases, we're just looking and checking against a certain type. And it works flawlessly. It hasn't not been working. And we're basically leveraging these functions on our shops and our item transferring. But the challenge right now is in terms of the consistency with regards to because we're not just managing one character's inventory. There's kind of like a stash. The item stash is like its own inventory. So that seems to be where the challenge is being incurred, not when we're dealing with just a single character. And it's an exploit I don't want. I don't want people to be able to duplicate items. It's gonna break everything. Reminds me of the old days. The old days of Phantasy Star Online and people duping items. One guy will get a legendary weapon, and then he'll search the forums for a duper. And then they'll meet up, like the shady business deal, and then they'll duplicate items. It's crazy. Anyways, I'll debug the duplicating that's happening off stream. I don't think it makes for interesting watching or interesting video. So here we're gonna have let's just pass both of these through here and use an append to get our readout. Item can be transferred. We'll put a space, or not a space, I mean equals will be fine. And we'll grab that boolean, and it'll say true or false. And that would happen if we can't transfer the item, we should just get an error sound effect. Do I have one nearby? That's fine, I'll just grab it and make a new one. Error sound effects, okay. That event should be called if we cannot transfer. Of course, the item to check is going to be the focus inventory button. So let's save and compile and test that out. Whoops, excuse me. So now we should have some sort of a readout when we click on the item to transfer if it's true or not. And I can see at the very bottom, item transfer equals to true. I should have made that like red or something so I can read it. Item transfer equal to true. That is fine. So what we're gonna have to do here is actually limit our character's inventory a little bit. Rather than making more items and having me to pick up more and deal with more, we're just going to go to our pack capacity maximum and drop that down to something like 5, like a teeny tiny inventory. And then we'll be able to check if, stacks are at capacity and make sure all that's working. So once that compiles, we will test that out. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Right, so our inventory is already full. 5 items. Working pretty much perfectly. And I want to put more items in there. And from here, we just want to move one of these over. For testing purposes, we are not checking the quantity check yet, just the do we have space to transfer at least one. Oh no, that check should still work. So we'll transfer 2 of those. Oh gosh. Okay. That battlesuit. Mucking up everything. Either way, our stash is now at capacity. And the checks are not working. It's failing horribly, guys. We're just able to transfer an insane amount of items. We are now over capacity. We have broken the inventory. So that is definitely something we want to fix. Let's transfer all this back. Resort this. And what I want to do is actually grab my debug view and see what's happening. So I'm going to grab the item stash widget, pull this over here. Yes, Julio, it is working with gamepad. It should be working with gamepad or mouse and keyboard. Both work. Let's see here. So I'm turn my debug filter on and try and see what's happening. Transfer an e-canteen. Transfer 2 water canteens. Okay, so now we're at capacity. Why this is working now is very bizarre. And that works because there was space, but it duplicated the item still. But these item types are... it's working correctly. Let's see what's happening here. If I move this over, move that over, and let's transfer over the alloys. So this is weird. Why does this item flag as we can transfer it? It's definitely... the bag's at capacity. It is at capacity. That's weird too. Whoa! Okay. I think... I think... what could be mucking these up? It could be the void slots in the pack. Because the void slots do not hold any data, so we kind of have to cleanse the pack. That sounds weird. But we sort of have to refresh the pack, the character's inventory, I guess. I have a function called update character inventory that sort of cleans up and manages the way the slots are being tracked. And I think that function needs to be called before the stash transfer event. Because I think without doing that, we're checking for things like, hey, is this still in the inventory? And it kind of is, because we haven't updated and cleaned up our slots here for the item types. I transferred this over. Oh, Jesus. It may help with the stacking, too, or this duplication, rather. Because I almost feel like... I don't know. I guess a good way to debug against that would be to populate the stash ahead of time with items. And by doing that, we would be able to check if it's duplicating because of the void slots not being refreshed, or if it's because it's the actual act of transferring items. But that's more trouble than I think it's worth. I just want to test against the updating the character inventory. So let's do that. We can close this and probably close this too. And the shopping system kind of works perfectly. So I don't think it's the... And because the item transferring logic is being pulled from there, I don't think it's an issue with the counts and how things are being tracked. I think it might have to do with the void slots that exist on the characters pack. So I'm going to grab our widget blueprint here, and here we have our move desired quantity of items from item stash to pack. And it's a function that calls our character function. Our game mode function. Right here, I want to call our, I guess we can pull it up from here, our active character, and let's update our character's inventory. Do that first before we begin switching out items and deleting references. And after we do this function automatically doesn't refresh anything. But we refresh everything after that transfer is complete. So that should... I want to say that should prevent our duplication on our item transfer. Outside of this, well, you know what? That is a very positive outlook, Christian. You know, what I would like to do is once everything is kind of perfect, I would like to do sort of like a more in-depth breakdown of the blueprint and what's happening. Okay. So these are all at a quantity of, that's something I want to fix too. The way we focus between the stash and the pack, I want to adjust that. Transfer. It's weird how we can like still cycle through this index even though there's nothing here. And if we transfer these back, refresh all. Okay, I want to test. So I want to believe this is solving a problem and it's working better. We still need to test against... Actually, I'll do that first. I was going to remove the refresh UI on that function. No, you need it. You absolutely need it. And I think we're going to have both menus. I think as soon as you transfer to an inventory, it has to sort that inventory. So unfortunately, the way these scroll boxes work is that we can't insert a child into a specific position. It has to be it'll always be at the bottom, which is why you have to call the refresh. And if we're going to refresh it and void slots are going to disappear and everything's going to move up, we might as well sort it. Just sort of thinking out loud here. Okay, so let's go get more items. Inventory full. Well, that ain't right. Oh wait, it is right. Wait, hold on. Yeah, what I wanted to do, dump all this. Dump all this stuff here. And okay. That's so bizarre. We should not be able to transfer at all. I mean, that doesn't even exist in our inventory right now. The alloy, it should check, oh, we can transfer it because it is stackable. It is of that type. Like, it is of a type that exists and it's stackable, so we should be able to, and it's not at maximum, so that logic is correct. We should be able to decide how many, and the maximum would then be how many remaining spots are left. So that's fine. The spinal jewel here doesn't exist at all. Can't insert that. Battlesuit should be the same too. It doesn't exist. You shouldn't be able to transfer it. There's no space. But you can. It's like, why? Why is that? Why would you do that? I mean, I guess as a bonus, at least it's not duplicating it, but that's super weird. Okay, so as per usual, I'm going to debug. Let me Alt tab instead of Windows tab. And I want to grab our item stash widget, pull that over here. And what do we want to do with this? Okay, let's see here. Basically, I want to debug this menu and check against I'm basically on my other screen here. I'm just oh my goodness! Why? Oh, guys, never click this ever, because now it wants to open Visual Studio. What a trap. Anyways, this is the function I'm watching. Because that's what's flagging our can we transfer or not. what do we want to do here? Okay, let's think. Okay, so first thing I want to check is, oh my god, loading Visual Studio. Why? Why are we opening this? Let's not open it. Yes. Do not. Close, please. Jeez, Unreal. Okay. I feel like they should prompt you. Do you want to open this in Visual Studio? Anyhow, what I want to check right now is why that actor, or why that asset in particular, is misbehaving. So I'm going to go to our inventory items, grab the item in question, and see. Okay, so it does have true for inventory stacks equals to 1. Basically, I'm looking at its values that are in the item structure here. It is of clothing type. It is max stack is 1, can stack is 0. And what's happening here, we determine true or false based off of a selection based off of this. And because this is true, we are basically checking, is our item count in the inventory less than the maximum stack? And good golly, that's true. Which means, hey, you should be able to stack that. I feel like that's not right, though. It's definitely not right. All right, Christian, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate the view, and hope the rest of your day is great. Don't be sad, you have to learn. Life is all about learning. It's sort of what I'm doing right now. And Boolean. And we're going to want to check if our pack is at capacity. Stacking at capacity won't matter on this variable type because we're limiting the stacks to just 1. This should yield a better result. Good lord. How do I want to open this? I guess Visual Studio. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, we just close this. I'm done. I'm done with it. Forget it. Okay. Is stacking at capacity? Couldn't this just work for both? If that's the case, I need to cross-reference this with the item shop. Actually, the button, not the shop front. Yeah, we're using the max stack against the... But this is for buying an item, so it kind of makes more sense here to do it that way. No, 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 no. This is good. This should be good. Oh, Visual Studio opened, Julio, because I accidentally clicked that I should open it. Amazing. Okay. So this should prompt us, these should both flag as you can't transfer. It just makes logical sense. And our alloy here, that should flag as you can transfer, but our quantity will be based on if we have space. Okay, that's cool. That is cool. That was quite a hang-up. My apologies, everyone. Getting back to our event graph, what we want to be doing here is right here. We check, can the item be transferred from our function? If it's true, well, if it's false, I guess, we play our error sound effect. Can't transfer that. If it's true, we launch our if it's true, we just outright transfer it if there's space for just one, which there has to always be for that check to work. If we come down here, we eventually, if the stack is not at 1, we actually launch into our widget phase 2, which brings up our quantity box and the appropriate menus and provides the menu context text. Get max limits for transfer. And this is our function, our AND function that will give us a integer. We basically want to cap our max quantity that we can determine for transfer, not by the quantity of the item like it is now. But we want to cap that at we want to cap it at the how much can our character carry. And this, I believe, also logic can be pulled from our buy menu. So we go to junk shop buy, and we should have a function in here called max limits for purchase. And oh wowee, there it is. This is for Malite, which doesn't really matter because money is not, it's kind of inconsequential for transferring items that you already own. However, Packspace can be pretty useful, excuse me. And it runs the same function. I'm going to copy it in total and get rid of what we don't need. Okay. So let's go to our item stash widget and into our max limits for transfer. And here we go. Max can buy quantity. We actually want a new integer. I don't think we can replace any. Oh, wait. Whoops. Oh my god, I did not want to duplicate that. Max items for item individual cost, max items for total cost. Those are old variables. that should not be needed at all. Set items total cost, like that is being called on our junk stuff over here. We can get rid of this now. I feel safe cleaning up our blueprint a little bit. Whoops, didn't hit the key. And here, back in our function, we can grab our max transfer quantity. And that's gonna drag these and replace them, because that's what we want to be setting at this point. Maximum value based on malloy, that does not really matter. Let's delete that. We run this function. Let's replace our character reference. And we want to check our focused inventory item, or button rather. And what we want is to check, we run our function to get basically what's on hand, what our character has on them. This function is essentially grabbing critical data regarding against our desired item we're looking to transfer. This print string should not be necessary. Let's collapse it for now. So the first check we do is it a one stack item? If it's true, our maximum is basically based the count on the inventory versus the maximum. That's our value, and we don't have to clamp these because we're not checking against what we can afford. We're just checking against space. So if it's not a one stack item, we have to check if the pack has additional slot space. And that can get pulled right from our function output. If it's true, that max quantity is just our max stack. So let's plug that in here. And our max, if we don't have additional space, our maximum is kind of weird. Basically, our remaining slots, the slot that's kind of currently being counted, the difference from that between our maximum stacks based on the amount of items we have. So just a little bit of math-driven functionality. So this should work. I do, however, need to head over to the event graph and make references to the max transfer quantity for the maximum. That's clamping our values on player input. So we can control click or control drag and just use a get and set that as our max. And for this as well up here, the bottom one, that's fine. So that task, limitations for stash to pack transfer now should be nearly perfect. Hey Bilal, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for stopping by and checking the stream. Okay, so our bag is at capacity. Let's dump these items in here. And pick up some more. And let's try and pull those items out. Shoot. I done goofed. I goofed because we don't have enough of alloys to check if it's at capacity. Like, is the stack max? We won't know. We don't even have 10. We don't have enough to make a maximum stack. Anyhow, can't transfer those. Okay, cool. That is behaving as it should. However, we're going to need a bunch more alloy. How many do we have here? 4? We are probably going to need at least 10. So you can Alt and drag to duplicate actors in your level, which is what I will do. Inventory full. Let's take a look at that, how it's being handled. Perfectly. Perfectly. That is what I like to see. And the transfer was perfect too, which is cool. I'm actually going to pull these out here. Okay, so having an issue here. We have a stack of 2, and I can't select maximum. Why is that? Time to do the debug thing. So if we focus up in our quantity, okay, my debug filter is selected. This is being clamped by our maximum quantity, and seems like the function we made is working against us a little bit. So the max, that's very bizarre. Looking at the debug, I should be able to, that should be set to the max quantity. Oh my gosh. I done goofed, guys. I'm so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed. Yeah, obviously we don't want to clamp by whatever we're at. We want to clamp by the max item quantity. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, now let's take a look at what's happening. Grab all of our alloys. Okay. Go to our stash. We'll dump these in here. And we should be able to take these out. That's not right. This is probably the case because so interestingly, using the D-pad up and down to increase the quantity, it clamps correctly. But if we use the left and right arrow keys to go to the minimum or maximum, it goes to the item quantity. So it's not an issue with our function, it's just an issue with our execution pins and the branch checks for the clamp. So that's not a huge problem. So for now, I'm just going to transfer 2 of these over and fill up our inventory and just take a look at how the alloy transfer behaves. So let's fill up our stack 2 capacity, because obviously we can transfer this if we have an open slot. So let's grab the energy canteen. And we have our check. And the maximum should be 8. Beautiful. Okay. And now we can't transfer anymore. Wonderful. Right on. That's cool. There's nothing else you can really say about that. That's working just fine. I'm gonna check off the limitations for stash transfer. So, a few things I want to adjust on this, and I'm probably going to do it off stream because I think it might be painful to watch. And those would be our item duplication that's happening intermittently. I have to isolate what the issue is and determine as to why. Why is that happening? Let's just rename this real quick. Just notice that these are kind of misleading. Input left. Anyways, yeah, this transfer. Sorry about that, guys. Just thinking not out loud. Just thinking for a moment. Yeah, I want to debug against this and find out why is it duplicating. Make that, for all intents and purposes, perfectly functional, error-free, ideally. And I also need to begin setting up these categories, which I'm not too worried about. That's also going to be sort of pulled from our functionality here with regards to the junk shop menu, or the sell menu, where we can isolate categories of item types. And I just want to rework how you go between the phases a little bit, because I notice that sometimes it's not very clear to me which phase we're currently in. So maybe work with some sort of signifiers as well. This actually can get removed. So we'll actually use it here. But where are we? Let's see here. Okay. Well, guys, I guess that'll bring our stream for today to a close. Didn't really get to do anything all too exciting, just working through some of the complexities with the item stash, but I appreciate you guys tuning in and, leaving comments and, just showing interest. It means a lot. So anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. And hopefully tomorrow I'll be sharing something new with you guys. Hopefully it'll be the wardrobe menu, or maybe even we'll get into something a little more exciting. But it'll be a surprise. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next stream. Bye!